Welcome to University Drive, your pathway to the transformational work of University of the Bahamas. Our goal is to build a better Bahamas by shaping tomorrow's leaders today, finding solutions to challenges, and forging new opportunities for growth. University Drive, where faculty, staff, students, and alumni travel the road of progress together with you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to University Drive. I'm your host, Tameka Lundy. Today, we are embarking on a fascinating journey to explore the genetic imprints of the transatlantic slave trade in the Bahamas. Have you ever wondered about the hidden stories encoded within our DNA? How do the dispersed islands of the Bahamas hold clues to our shared past? And what secrets will the analysis of mitochondrial DNA linkages reveal about Bahamian origins in West and Central Africa? Join us as we uncover the mysteries of a genetic heritage and historical narratives. Our guest for this episode is Dr. Tanya Simms, and she is the Assistant Professor of Biology at University of the Bahamas. Welcome, Dr. Simms. Thank you so much for being here. This is your first time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure, especially because of the subject matter. Tell us a little bit about your background before we dive into the substance of our show this episode.
Okay. I got my PhD from Florida International University. I did for my research, it was the area was forensic biology / population genetics. Basically, I worked on DNA sequences. Specifically, my PhD project was to look at forensic markers using the Bahamian population as my subject. I looked at two different marker systems. I looked at the Y chromosome, which is inherited by males from their father, and I looked at autosomal markers, which are inherited by both parents. And I wanted to kind of compare the genetic signals I saw in the Bahamas to those in worldwide populations.
What attracted you to such a fascinating area?
Yeah. Well, when I was I originally wanted to go to medical school. And when I was doing my master's and also going to medical school, I TA'd a biology of crime lab, and I fell in love with forensics. And so I knew I wanted to do something with forensics. And I always was interested in the history of the Bahamas. So by doing my PhD, I was able to put both of those together.
That's awesome. And what path brought you to University of the Bahamas?
Well, it was a long journey. After my PhD, I did do a postdoc. And then after my postdoc, I was working at Minnesota State University. Unfortunately, while I was working there, my father passed. And so I decided to come back home to spend some time with my mom before, she leaves me. And so as a result, I came back to University of Bahamas. I always wanted to come back to hopefully establish a forensic program here in the near future. I don't know how long it would take, but that's always been my vision, is to come back here and give back. But it was a long journey in me actually getting back here.
Well, I'm sure the country and the university are glad to have you back and to be the beneficiaries of your talents and your skills. You are one of the latest awardees or recipients of the prestigious Wilson Award, the Wilson Grant. So your research is entitled, and I'm sure you're going to break this down for us
Mhm.
after, but your research is entitled The Impact of the Transatlantic Slave Trade on the Bahamian Maternal Gene Pool. Tell us about that, how you decided to narrowly focus on that particular aspect.
Okay. So, like I was saying, my PhD project, I looked at the paternal gene pool. I looked at the Y chromosome. And I always wanted to look at the other half, the maternal gene pool. And so when I came back, I saw the Wilson Award was being, offered, and my research kind of fit into the specific area that it was focusing on for that year. And so I decided to apply for it in hopes of looking at the other half, not just the male migrations into the country, but now the female migrations into the country.
Your background and looking at the maternal gene pool in relation to the transatlantic slave trade seems to me to be pretty specific. What do you hope to uncover, and why this kind of genetic analysis and study in relation to the transatlantic slave trade and the
Okay.
Bahamas?
So for my PhD, I did look at the paternal gene pool. And the paternal gene pool showed that the islands, I looked at 6 different islands in the Bahamas. I looked at Bucco, Long Island, Eleuthera, Exuma, Grand Bahama, and New Providence. And what I saw for all 5 islands, all 6 islands, with the exception of Long Island, was a big African component. So I now want to see if I see that big West Central African component in the maternal gene pool that I did see with the paternal migrations, or if I see something different. For instance, in Long Island, the male chromosome was Y chromosome. And I'm hoping now to see in that specific island that the female component would be maybe European. And that has a lot to do with the history of the Bahamas, with the Loyalists in particular. With Long Island, the Loyalists were too poor to leave when cotton failed. So they ended up staying there and mixing with the African slaves. So I'm hoping to see if I can see those African signals in the maternal gene pool of Long Island and of the rest of the Bahamas.
Okay, so let me see if I understand that.
Mhm.
Simplistically stated, when it relates to your earlier study on the paternal gene pool in relation to those 6 islands, Abaco, Eleuthera, Long Island, Exuma, Grand Bahama, and New Providence, are you saying that you discovered that when it comes to the paternal gene pool, there is strong evidence of a lineage that does directly connect to West and Central Africa in our male descendants in
Yes,
all of the islands
yes.
except Long Island?
Yes. And interestingly, in islands such as Exuma, for instance, the male component was 98% West and Central African. So almost exclusively West and Central African. And again, that has to do with the history of the country. The loyalists there left when cotton failed, and they left the plantations to the slaves. So it's not surprising that I see that big West Central African component. And now I want to see if I see it from the maternal side as well.
Have you formed a hypothesis? Do you have suspicions about what this current research that your journey that you're on will reveal? And are you looking at the same 6 islands?
Okay, so for this particular project, I will be looking at all 6 islands. I will specifically be focusing on Providence, just because I'm just starting out. And two, New Providence is going to have representatives from all the different islands. So I'm hoping to see that big West Central African component. But because there's going to be representatives from all the different islands, I think I'm going to see a little bit, of a significant amount of diversity. I also expect to see some European influences as well as maybe some Native American influences.
Wow, I'm intrigued. I am fascinated by this, right? I'm a non-science person, but I'm in terms of I don't know the intricacies, the ins and outs and fundamentals. That's what I mean when I say non-science, but I'm really interested in what it reveals about us. So let's look at this big word now, that you can simplify for me and others, right? What do we mean by mitochondrial DNA?
Okay. Mitochondrial DNA is DNA that's inherited from your mother via her egg. And I know you're saying, well, what about the sperm? Well, the sperm has mitochondrial DNA as well, but it's in the tail. So when the sperm fertilizes the egg, you don't actually get the mitochondrial DNA from the male because the tail doesn't usually make it into the egg. So mitochondrial DNA is simply DNA that is inherited via your mother's egg. And so all of her children, whether they're male or female, will inherit her mitochondrial DNA. But only her daughters will be able to pass that on to her kids.
Okay, very good. Thanks for that explanation. So, how exactly do you intend to undertake this study?
So in order to undertake this study, obviously I have to get the appropriate approvals because I would be working with human subjects, which I've already gotten. Once I receive my reagents, then I'm going to start sampling. I intend to sample 200, at least 200 subjects. 100 of those I'm trying to get specifically from University of the Bahamas, and then the other 100 from the general population. And I do have an undergraduate student that will be working with me on this project. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect a buccal swab. It's basically just a swab of the mouth. And once I get that, I'm able to break open the cells and extract the DNA from that sample. And then I would type it. I would use what we call PCR, polymerase chain reaction, to make many, many copies of the DNA. And then I would sequence it to get the actual sequence of the DNA and compare it to a reference standard.
What is the time frame that you anticipate that this will take and to lead you to certain conclusion?
So in terms of time frame, I unfortunately was out all last semester. So I've been put back kind of a semester, but I'm hoping it would take about a year once I get at least another student to assist me because of classes and things like that. It's hard to get into the lab unless until the weekend. So I'm envisioning like a year for this to be done completely.
And the laboratory facilities you're using are at UB?
Yes, in the SIS research complex, there is a equipped genetics lab, and I will be able to do all of the extraction, the typing, um, and on the computer, the analysis.
That's awesome. Is your study one of the first in the genetics lab there?
Yes,
How cool is that, right?
yes.
Your study, this in my mind, has implications and links for a lot of other things that people are studying and documenting our history and being able to refer to facts. How do you anticipate that what you will uncover will be able to be used by others?
So hopefully once the project is done, and the analysis is complete, I hope to publish this in peer-reviewed journals. I typically use journals like American Journal of Physical Anthropology. I'm hoping it would get accepted there and it would be available worldwide.
So, this is a good place to take our first break. Our guest is Dr. Tanya Simms, Assistant Professor of Biology at University of the Bahamas, who is about to embark on a very compelling piece of research study on the impact of the transatlantic slave trade on the Bahamian maternal gene pool. We'll take a break and be back after this.
Get ready, UB Fit, Fun Run Walk, Bike Skate Push Race Weekend is coming, April 19th to the 21st. Complete your 5K, 10K, or 15K virtually, or join the big race at the Oaksfield campus on Saturday, April 20th at 6 a.m. Funds raised will support UB's annual fund. Form a team and register at Chapter 1 Bookstore or online at ubfit.ub.edu.bs. Thanks to our title sponsor, Doctors Hospital Health System. Gold sponsors, Island Luck, Commonwealth Bank, and Fidelity Bank. Bronze sponsors, Shell Western Supply and Trading Limited and BPL. Additional sponsors include Alive Rap, Glano, Deloitte, J.S. Johnson, Family Guardian, BWA, Commonwealth Beauty Limited, Nassau Agency, Campbell Shipping, Bahamas First, Lombard Odier, Nautilus, Wendy's, Popeyes, Marco, Bahamas Hospitals Authority, Thompson Trading, Walk-in Clinic, and Public Workers Cooperative. Join us at UB Fit 2024 as University of the Bahamas celebrates its 50th Golden Jubilee. Register today for UB Fit 2024 Big Race Saturday, April 20th. Phone 424-8887 for more info.
Chapter 1 Bookstore is proud to serve the students, faculty, and staff of the University of the Bahamas and the community at large. We are the premier choice for the purchase of university textbooks and supplies, and UB logo apparel, paraphernalia, and gifts. We also carry a wide variety of school supplies, learning aids, and leisure books. Visit our copy center for all of your printing, copying, and binding needs. Chapter 1 Bookstore is located on the ground floor of the Michael H. Eldon Complex on University Drive. Shop with us on Monday through Saturday. You can contact us at 397-2650 or email at chapter1@ub.edu.bs. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Chapter 1 Bookstore. Chapter 1, the premier choice.
Are you ready to take your knowledge or career to new heights? Don't wait to invest in your future. Do it now. How? Earn a professional development certificate from University of the Bahamas. Whether you're looking to enhance your leadership abilities, sharpen your technical skills, or explore a new field entirely, our Continuing Education and Lifelong Learning Center has the ideal course for you. We offer single-phase electrical, ethics in procurement, accounting for entrepreneurship, stop managing, start leading, dynamic presentations, digital marketing, superior customer service, and justice of the peace. We even have courses on smartphone photography, TikTok videos, defensive driving, and interacting with difficult people. Or open the door to new languages with English as a second language, conversational Chinese, and Spanish in the workplace. Our instructors are experts in their fields and they're here to support you every step of the way. Call us at 302-4449. Enroll today.
Welcome back, everyone, to University Drive. I'm your host, Tameka Lundy, and joining me for this episode is Dr. Tanya Simms, Assistant Professor of Biology at UB, and she is undertaking a study on the impact of the transatlantic slave trade on the Bahamian maternal gene pool. So, Dr. Simms, I understand that the DNA samples that you hope to extract from your sample size of 200 individuals, you're hoping to use that to either confirm or complexify the historical accounts and our oral traditions of Bahamian origins in West and Central Africa. Walk us through that. Tell us your thoughts.
Okay, so I'm going to use some previous studies to be able to do that. I'm going to look at the study that I did on the Y chromosome, I know those results. Based on that, where I saw such a big West Central African influence, those are the mutations that I'm going to type first. And those mutations will define what we call haplogroup. In terms of haplogroups, there is this thing called a mitochondrial DNA. This shows the migration of humans out of Africa and into the rest of the world. Based on that, it's showing you what we call a haplogroup. And a haplogroup is just a set of mutations that an individual has. Some of the common haplogroups in Africa are going to be haplogroup L, haplogroup M, and haplogroup N. Those are what I'm hoping to find in the Bahamas. We can, within those haplogroups, you can type additional mutations for what we call a subhaplogroup. What I mean by that is L is broken down into L1, L2, L3, and L0. And those L haplogroups would be located in different regions of Africa. So I can kind of narrow down what we have, what I find in terms of subhaplogroup to a specific part, to a specific region in Africa, whether it be West, Central, North, or South Africa. In addition, I can also look at European haplogroups. We know that in certain islands, there's more of a European influence, for instance, Abaco. I can look at those haplogroups, for instance, haplogroup H, and that would tell me that the individual there is European and ancestry. Now, when I say complexify, what I mean by that is when I did the Y chromosome, which is male specific, in Long Island, I found that there was also an East Asian component, which I wasn't expecting. So that's what I mean by complexify. Sometimes you find things that you just are never expecting to show up.
That's really interesting. East Asian component. That would be from the paternal gene pool study you did, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In Long Island. What would account for that?
I had to make some hypothesis as to what accounted for that, because there's nothing in historical records that actually say that there's this East Asian component. But there was some influx from Cuba into Long Island. So that may account for it, or maybe just people randomly going there and staying. Who knows? So I had to kind of guesstimate what could have accounted for that.
That's not widely known. I don't remember ever hearing that particular aspect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a Cuba Long Island hypothesis. It's more for Native Americans, but some East Asians may have also gone there via that route.
Well, it's certainly important for us to know our roots. So we're talking about documenting the specificity about our origins. What role do you see this kind of genetic studies playing in shaping or even reshaping our understanding of Bahamian history and identity?
What I want to do is actually confirm what we always read about the loyalists, about the Lutheran adventurers, about the transatlantic slave trade. I want to show that what we read about in these history books is actually present in our gene pool. So I want to kind of use our genetics to confirm our historical accounts.
Okay, how do you envision your findings contributing to broader discussions of the legacy of slavery and its impact on our contemporary society?
There's manifest, for instance, of ships that came here. But sometimes you find something that you weren't expecting. For instance, in one of my previous studies, I found signals from Madagascar. Nobody was expecting slaves to come from Madagascar, but apparently sometimes some slave ships just get wrecked, and they kind of the slaves end up in the Bahamas, and we don't read about that in our historical books. So this can actually contribute to adding to our knowledge that we have now.
You know, and in every answer that you give, I'm learning something new. You mentioned East Asian component. Now you're talking about Madagascar, and I'm just like fascinated. And I'm wondering, how do we make the connect in the big gap we have about the kinds of discoveries that we are finding and likely to find in the future, and actually documenting them, and not only documenting them, but closing that gap between what we're teaching, right, to our current and future generations about who we are and where we've come from. How do we close that gap?
I mean, that's why I want to do this research. This is going to answer a lot of questions that individuals have, but it's also going to kind of fill in what we don't know. But in order to do so, it has to be out there in the literature. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's very important. Have you come across any skepticism regarding the work, the research work that you're doing?
No, not really, you know. People are fascinated by, that you can actually do this, that you can actually link their DNA to specific regions in the world. They're fascinated by it.
And if my memory serves me correctly, we there's even a business who's been able to commercialize their ability to do that, right? Maybe we're headed in that direction.
Well, that's not commercialization per se, but that's ultimately where this particular project is going to lead. So I'm hoping that I get another grant that'll expand on this project and enable me to link a particular individual with a particular tribe in Africa using a different technology.
Now that would be amazing. I would love to know where I would love to know where I am originally from. Down to the exact tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And so would a lot of other people.
So it wouldn't be a business venture. It would be more so for me to put out there what tribes specifically Bahamian people came from.
That's intriguing. So back to exactly how you intend to do this study. You're talking about collecting swab samples and testing them in the lab. Right now, this particular phase of it, you're focusing on New Providence. Do you expect to go back to focusing on the other 5 islands you focused on for the other study, the previous study that you did?
Yes, I'm hoping to do the whole Bahamas, not just those 5 islands, the whole Bahamas.
The whole Bahamas. So
technology has changed. So even the 5 islands that I did, I can now get more information by testing them at a higher resolution. So I hope to do the whole Bahamas, including the South, which has not been touched.
So up to now, in your opinion, what have been the most pressing, either questions answered or new questions that have evolved that relate to our understanding of our genetics and our Bahamian history? Is there anything that surprised you in what you've been able to uncover?
Yes. So in my previous work, I was expecting, based on what people have told me, oral traditions, I was expecting to find Native American signals in Long Island. I did not find them at all. Nowhere. None. They told me there was this lady, Arawak lady living. She's an Arawak descendant. Nope. So I've been able to uncover things that people have, that they're like these oral traditions. I don't see them genetically.
The work that you're doing, to me, it's so monumentally important. I would like to believe that you have a team of students who are able to go through this process with you and really kind of like be downloaded with information and knowledge and expertise. Is that happening?
Well, I have one student right now that has expressed interest. She's going to be working with me. I've also reached out to my former genetics class. There's several students in there who want to work with me. So I'm hoping at the end of the semester after finals, I'll get cracking on this and I'll have their support. I did teach them some of the techniques that I'll be using during our class periods. And I told them about the project and they expressed a lot of interest in it. They thought it was like really fascinating. So I do need, a team to help me with this project because this is not a one-man show.
And I would imagine that you also, because thinking about the share size of, thinking about what you intend to do in the future and over time, I would imagine that you also need resources, right? You've received the Wilson grant, but I think you would also need some other major resources, right? How do you tap into that? Because it seems to me that the more you talk up what it is that you're doing, the more you're able to attract the attention of those people or those organizations who are able to fund such a research undertaking.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a project that does require money. It is an expensive project. I do have a team of collaborators that are working with me. But I personally cannot apply for any big grants in the US. So I have to apply for local grants here because, I'm Bahamian. And it's been difficult finding resources here in the Bahamas. So I'm working with others to see if I can, tap into resources in the States. Because two of my collaborators are from the US, but we need local support here as well. So I would, if anybody is listening and they can help us out, I would be eternally grateful. Just let me know.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that because research is one of those areas where you find a lot of collaborations depending on the area of study, and not only collaborations in terms of individual faculty, but also institutions, right? What have you found to be most successful in that regard?
Well, I'm currently collaborating with an individual from Grand Bahama, Dr. Michael Pateman. And then I have two other collaborators that are in the US. One is at University of Maryland, but it's something that has to be done because you as a researcher, you need other individuals that have certain skills, if that makes sense. So I can do the work here, I can train, but sometimes I need assistance with interpretation, or sometimes I need assistance with certain analyses. So research is not something that you do on your own. It is something that you collaborate with others on.
For the greater good, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is a good time to take our second break of the show. You're listening to University Drive. More after this.
Chapter One Bookstore is proud to serve the students, faculty, and staff of the University of the Bahamas and the community at large. We are the premier choice for the purchase of university textbooks and supplies, and UB logo apparel, paraphernalia, and gifts. We also carry a wide variety of school supplies, learning aids, and leisure books. Visit our copy center for all of your printing, copying, and binding needs. Chapter One Bookstore is located on the ground floor of the Michael H. Eldon Complex on University Drive. Shop with us on Monday through Saturday. You can contact us at 397-2650 or 888-888-2650. or email at chapter1@ub.edu.bs. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Chapter 1 Bookstore. Chapter 1, the premier choice.
Are you ready to take your knowledge or career to new heights? Don't wait to invest in your future. Do it now. How? Earn a professional development certificate from University of the Bahamas. Whether you're looking to enhance your leadership abilities, sharpen your technical skills, or explore a new field entirely, our Continuing Education and Lifelong Learning Center has the ideal course for you. We offer single-phase electrical, ethics in procurement, accounting for entrepreneurship, stop managing, start leading, dynamic presentations, digital marketing, superior customer service, and justice of the peace. We even have courses on smartphone photography, TikTok videos, defensive driving, and interacting with difficult people. Or open the door to new languages with English as a second language, conversational Chinese, and Spanish in the workplace. Our instructors are experts in their fields and they're here to support you every step of the way. Call us at 302-4449. Enroll today.
Get ready! UB Fit Fun Run Walk Bike Skate Push Race Weekend is coming! April 19th to the 21st. Complete your 5K, 10K, or 15K virtually. Or join the big race at the Oaksfield campus on Saturday, April 20th at 6 a.m. Funds raised will support UB's annual fund. Form a team and register at Chapter 1 Bookstore or online at ubfit.ub.edu.bs. Thanks to our title sponsor, Doctors Hospital Health System. Gold sponsors, Island Luck, Commonwealth Bank, and Fidelity Bank. Bronze sponsors, Shell Western Supply and Trading Limited and BPL. Additional sponsors include Alive Rap, Lano, Deloitte, J.S. Johnson, Family Guardian, BWA, Commonwealth Beauty Limited, Nassau Agency, Campbell Shipping, Bahamas First, Lombard ODA, Nautilus, Wendy's, Popeyes, Marco, Bahamas Hospitals Authority, Thompson Trading, Walk-in Clinic, and Public Workers Cooperative. Join us at UB Fit 2024 as University of the Bahamas celebrates its 50th Golden Jubilee. Register today for UB Fit 2024 Big Race Saturday, April 20th. Phone 424-8887 for more info.
Here we are back on University Drive having a conversation about what genetic research and testing can reveal to us about our origins to the transatlantic slave trade. Dr. Simms, we've been having this comprehensive conversation about the kind of research that you've been engaged in. You're doing the genetic research part of it, but how do you envision your findings adding to those broader discussions about the legacy of slavery? And especially now, right? You know, we're at a particular time in the history of not only the Bahamas, but University of the Bahamas, where appreciating our history and our past is just as important as we move forward. How do you anticipate or envision what you're uncovering being linked as we think about the path that we are on moving forward and what we know about where we've come from?
One of the main linkages is actually through the students. I mean, they're going to come in the lab, they're going to learn how to do techniques. They're also going to learn about the history of the Bahamas. They're going to learn if this actually matches what's in the textbook. They're going to learn, oh, this is new. This is something interesting. You know what I mean? So they're going to be kind of the next generation coming up. They're the ones that could then, you know, take this information and write it in new history books, modify those history books.
And this is all happening right here in the Bahamas at University of the Bahamas. This kind of specific DNA genetic testing and research and knowledge discovery. This kind of experiential learning is a very fundamental part of higher education, right?
Yes.
And it's good for not only current students now, but potential students to know about the depth of their academic experience that is available right here at the National University. Isn't that important?
Yes. And they're going to come in and they're going to learn, well, oh, these former students did this. oh, I want to be involved in this. You know what I mean? They're going to be able to, learn from their predecessors. They're going to be like, oh, they did this, they put it in these books. This is something that I want to do. They can then take that knowledge when they come and they join on the project. They can then take that knowledge and, go out into the field. It may even everybody who comes into UB as science majors, they all want to go to medical school. And some people are just not cut out for medical school. This may provide them with an alternative route as well.
Absolutely. What advice would you give to aspiring researchers interested in exploring the kind of like intersection involving genetics, history, and identity? What lessons have you learned? What can you share?
I could tell you that it's hard. People will, as you try to get into the research arena, people will try and discourage you, but just do it. Just do it. No matter what, find a way. Just do it.
What's been the most fulfilling for you on this journey?
The most fulfilling is seeing what I find out there in the literature. That's been the most fulfilling. Being able to Google my name and see that I've contributed to Bahamian history.
That is very good, I would say. Have there been any personal discoveries or revelations that you've experienced as a result of you doing all of this?
I mean, I've seen personal growth from when I was a PhD student till now. I've seen a lot of personal growth. I've seen that, when I talk to people, like especially in my classes, they get excited about the projects. Um, they get excited about the Bahamas in general, they get excited about being a part of a study, whether it be as a participant or whether it be as a person that wants to be involved in the project, doing the actual research.
Very good. You're a woman in science, a woman in STEM, an underrepresented group doing big things and very good things. How do you see yourself as an encouragement or serving as an encourager for the participation of women in the STEM area?
I mean, I see that people look up to me, whether it be students or whether it be others in the field. They know my name. They know what I've done. They will go and research and look for my papers. So I think yes. I could be totally wrong, but I think yes.
I think yes too. How can we delve further down the road of increasing the number of women and other underrepresented groups in the STEM area? Because I believe as we think about this whole idea of developing resilience, right, and increasing innovation, STEM is the area that has a very big capacity to do that.
I think that it starts in the high school. Like, yes, right now we're kind of limited to university because that's where I work and that's where I do my research. But ultimately, I would like to kind of go into the schools, maybe give them a talk, and so they can see. Because, like I said, in science, persons think science means medical, dental, pharmacy, veterinary school, but not everybody is cut out for those tracks. And so they kind of stay away from science because of that. They don't realize that there are other avenues in science. So I think kind of going to the high schools and kind of promoting what's going on in science at the university may help to gear some individuals, some of those students more towards the science track, knowing that they don't necessarily have to go into one of those professional fields.
Mm. And knowing what you're involved in and your other colleagues are involved in terms of research and developing the body of knowledge, new knowledge and discovery, why is it important for societies to embrace higher education? And I'll bring it on home. Why is it important for our society to support and embrace University of the Bahamas?
Coming to university will help you to ultimately get a better job. And coming to UB, I mean, it's local. You have a grant that will pay for it. And UB has some of the best lecturers, some of the best instructors. We're now developing this whole research arena. So we're going to be able to compete with any US or Canadian university, in my opinion, in the next coming years. So I think it's really important for students to come here because they will get the same classes that they get in the States. They're also going to get that Bahamian history. They're also going to get that culture that they wouldn't necessarily get anywhere else.
Okay, so as we prepare to wrap up, I want to ask you this question. It's 10 years from now. You've been diligently doing the research study that you're currently working on, looking at DNA linkages and our history and backgrounds. What would you want to have happened by then?
I would want to have sampled the entire Bahamas. I would want to have looked at every marker system there is available for DNA, and I want to publish everything. I want the Bahamas to be on the map in terms of research. Everybody should know about the Bahamas, what the Bahamas is, what people have contributed to its population, and and all the students that have been involved in this research. That's what I want in 10 years.
Okay, very noble, and I think it can be achieved. So I'm offering you the final thoughts as we wrap up. What do you want to leave with our listeners?
I would like to leave with you. If you want to be involved in this project, come see me. You can call me. My phone number is 457-0177, or you can email me at tanya.simms@ub.edu.bs. I will be doing a sampling, hopefully in the mall during the summer. So if you want to come out and participate, it doesn't hurt. It's just a simple buccal swab and a couple questions. And any students that are listening, if you're interested in getting involved in this project in some way, please let me know. And my last thought is that I'd really like to thank the Wilson Grant for sponsoring this research. Without them, I wouldn't even be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to do this talk show. So I just want to say a sincere thank you to them.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us once again. If there's anyone out there listening who would like to be a participant in this study that is happening, looking at mitochondrial DNA linkages to trace our history and heritage, please do get in touch with Dr. Tanya Simms. That's tanya.simms@ub.edu.bs. Tanya Simms, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of University Drive. This has been a really fascinating conversation, and I hope to have you back again as you give us a progress report on how things are going.
Thank you so much for having me, and I would love to come back.
Absolutely. Thank you to our listeners for joining us on this episode of University Drive. I'm Tameka Lundy, signing off for now.
University Drive is a production of the Office of University Relations at University of the Bahamas. All rights reserved.